Morena, morning from Aotearoa, New Zealand, at the bottom of the Pacific Ring of Fire. And thank you all for joining us today, those that are present and those that will join us in the time to come on this journey on the apex of this full moon as we step into the exploration of biomimicry and how we can apply that personally, professionally, and planetary. So let us begin with the alignment process to bring our field into harmony, so the information that wishes to be shared and the information that wishes to express through this field also has a coherent field in which to land, in which to seed and germinate. So if you've just arrived, you may like to stand up, sound, breathe, move as we go through the alignment process, aligning physical, mental, and emotional bodies. With all-pervading soul or higher self and monadic galactic self. For those who are not yet familiar with their earth and soul star, you may wish to sink a luminous thread deep down from the root, the base, the womb space, through the floor, the soil, the sands, the bedrock, the waters, into the molten core and the heart of Gaia. Connecting our wombs of creation, be us in physical, female or male bodies, with the cauldron of creation and the primordial elemental energy in the core of our planetary body. For those already familiar, activating the Earth Star, 1 foot, 1/2 meter beneath the feet, and connecting through the divergent meridians of the planetary body. The Rios de Luz, the rivers of light, which may be rivers of water, our artesian waters from deep within inner earth, that carry the ancient memories, the codex of creation. They may be the rivers of fire, that circulate through the planetary body, fueling creation and burning away all that no longer serves. And the rivers of gold, that many only know as a resource. It is an integrated component in our planetary body with all the other minerals and metals. And breathing in, inhaling up through our pillar, those primordial elemental energies of creation in their purity and infinite potential, so that they may cleanse, clear, and purify. Regenerate, rejuvenate, and recalibrate as we align our physical and energetic bodies. All the way up to the soul star, 1 foot, 1/2 meter above the head, and activating the soul star and inviting down those celestial energies. For we are celestial beings inhabiting physical animal bodies. Breathing into that and anchoring into our own unique golden toroidal fields. From here, surrendering through the core of Source and the heart of Gaia, where the new Earth architecture emerges. You may wish to imagine that in the belly, in the chalice, in the pelvic bowl, and really softening and surrendering and feeling the support of our planetary body, the consciousness of Gaia, becoming Gaia Galactica in our evolutionary journey. Knowing that we are surrendered through the new Earth architecture, we are supported, and all of those we interact with are also supported. No longer holding space, yet being held by this space, frequency, and architecture. Surrendering through the core of Source and the heart of the Sun, the main portal for which many of us entered this planetary body, and the core of Source through the great central sun. Surrendering through the core of Source in the heart of the moon, and in the heart of Theia, our original moon, much of which is embedded through the continent of Africa, and activating our solar and lunar discs. And surrendering through the core of Source in the galactic center. And for some of you, you may wish to visualize that through the pineal gland, our gateway to God, the all-seeing, the all-knowing, and that part of ourselves that resides outside of time. And for others who have embodied that, you might imagine that to be through the navel of our own universe, as we embody universal consciousness. Inviting everyone to inhale, exhale with sound, our own unique sound, song, soul signature, strengthening and fortifying our own unique pillar, first of all. Inhaling, exhaling with sound as we connect and strengthen our connection with the point on the planet where we stand today. Honoring all the guardians in the seen and unseen realms in this place on the planet, as we invite those who are here to support us according to the divine plan and divine will, in right relationship and reciprocity with our physicality and our planetary body. And inhaling once more, exhaling with sound as we connect our pillars around and through the planetary body. As I hand you over to Casey, maintaining this connection and coherence as we gather together, stepping out of the me story and into the we story.
We will stay in this beautiful connection field which we have created together, unifying our pillars once again, allowing them to function as one, and solidifying our energies, both through the core of the earth, through Gaia herself, and out through the cosmic space, allowing us to connect into that universal field, receiving whatever data, information, light codes are received into one unit, one human body, to be amplified into all. That the information that wishes to be shared at this time will be echoed and reverberated throughout the field. and then echo down into Gaia, into the layers of the earth. Those codes to be picked up at a future moment in time when we are ready to activate them, use them in a different way, and also to be received by others. Those who have heard the call on soul level to begin to take action in their soul journeys. These codes are now embedded into the field for them as their future steps take hold and they begin on their journeys as well. For when we support one, we support the whole. We are here for our individual journeys, yet we are here for the journey of everyone, the journey of all. Recognizing into the field all those supporters that have been supporting us from the unseen realms. The light ships that have been gathering in our atmosphere wish to be acknowledged at this time, knowing that we are supported at all times, that we are part of a much bigger theme, story, journey than we can comprehend. That we are mixed, intermingled in the web of all that is. And that our journey is not alone. It is carried on the backs of all of our star families and throughout the united consciousness field. We are wishing to say that we are cherished in love at all times. We are surrounded with love. We are love. And we are here to witness the love of all. That we are interdependent upon all living beings on the earth plane, not just the human race. And that we are one piece of the puzzle. Yet our puzzle piece shifting into alignment can change all things forward and backwards. We have access to all timelines and all future timelines. Here in the now, being present, step by step, and anchored in our human selves. We will step back from this unified field just ever so slightly in order for the information to be shared among the whole. Stepping back into our human selves, anchoring into our individual pillars, yet staying connected. Receiving the codes by all. We are ready for this journey to be continued in the circle. And we ask that each one of you add a little gentle movement to your bodies at this time to anchor into the human system. Breathing a little bit deeper, feeling the floor beneath you and the chair beneath you. And when you're ready, choosing, always choosing, to come back in and take a step forward as a group.
Thank you, Casey. And thank you, everyone, for stepping into circle today. And I also feel it's really important to invite in our Cetacean Nation, for the whales have been extremely present during this week of learning on Aotea, or Great Barrier Island in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And we shared this journey on land that had once been a whaling station, on land that had once been the largest mill in the Southern Hemisphere, Milinkodi tree from this land. Kauri is a key species, and it has a relationship with the whale in that they share the same skin. So it was a very beautiful and powerful place in which to journey, where I have not visited for 33 years. It was a return after 33 years to a beautiful island off the East Coast. And before we enter this journey into an introduction of biomimicry, it feels really important to honor the cycles that we're in. We are literally meeting today on the apex, on the actual time of the full moon. We are 2 days away from the end of the next ninth wave night. We're in the, I think it's the 14th day and night of the ninth wave of the Mayan calendar. And for those who are unfamiliar with this calendar, I will leave in the link beneath the YouTube recording a link to the journey we did with Sean Caulfield regarding the Mayan calendar and understanding the Mayan calendar as a calendar of evolution of human consciousness. And the ninth wave is one of unity consciousness that came online in the end of October 2011. So we are actually today in the 17th night. We have one more day in the 18th night before we come into another new day beginning. So we're right at the pre-dawn time before we plant seeds of a new beginning. And also, according to Western astrology, on the 20th of November, Pluto re-enters Aquarius for the next 19-year cycle. Pluto has been dancing in and out of Aquarius for the past 12 months. And on the 20th of November, Pluto enters Aquarius to stay for 19 years. And the last time this happened on our planet was the time of the French Revolution, the American Revolution, and the Haiti Revolution. So we are at the dawning of the age of Aquarius and on the dawn of another revolution. And the way I would like to, in the past, revolution has been a lot of chaos and bloodshed. But let us be reminded of Einstein's quote that problems cannot be resolved at the level of consciousness that created them. So what if we reinterpret revolution as rapid evolution, and our opportunity to engage consciously and quantum leap our evolution, personally, professionally, planetary, as a species, because that is our opportunity now, that is the potential now. And how do we engage in that consciously? One thing that's really important is that we learn from our past and resolve any distortion in our past so that it no longer informs our present, so that we can be fully in the present moment and choose consciously on what we are creating. And this is why the work many of us have been immersed in for so long is going to become much more important in the present moment and the journey that lies ahead. So on that note, what I'm going to do is just read to you the paragraph on what I put out as what this journey is about today, and invite you to feel into that through your own unique soul signature. For you too may have pieces of gold to contribute to our journey today from previous experience. Biomimicry. For all the challenges we faced Nature has solutions. Biomimicry is a practice that learns from and mimics the strategies used by living organisms to solve challenges comparable to the ones we face as individuals and societies. The benefit is that nature presents us with many strategies far better at working harmoniously with the rest of nature than many human-developed strategies have been. The goal then is to create products, processes, and systems that solve our greatest design challenges sustainably and in harmony with all life on Earth. So this journey into biomimicry for social innovation has been so many gifts, and yet I know I'm going to be integrating for the next couple months the many levels of understanding I'm able to access through my system. But one of the first gifts that presented is the very slow and steady way in which I've been building Earthwalk Global, Be Life Global, Guardians of Gaia, and preparing for the birth of the Source Portal as all unique entities which all have their own toroidal fields that are evolving at their own rate and pace of evolution, is exactly what this work is about. And I haven't done it from the mental body. I've done it through the alignment of my own system and deep listening on what nature wants to birth. And one thing that was very clear is that in order to create according to nature, we really do need to unplug from the momentum tunnel of consensual reality, to step off the treadmill, to pause, to slow down, to arrive, to land into our own bodies and place of belonging, so that we can collaborate not just with each other, but also with the consciousness of our planetary body and the different species that are also evolving. And an example of that is Bee Life Global. When the bees came to me and Jan, the Bali Bee Man, came to me and said, we want to create this charity. And my system was saying yes and no. Yes to helping you create it, but no, I can't do it in the way that I used to operate it when I was coming from the rescuer in the triangle of disempowerment. So let us invite the bees to be the consciousness in the center of this project. Let us listen to what they want and then use our mental bodies on feeling and thinking and how we can implement that. And this is where nature steps in as model, measure, and mentor. And from my perspective, it's also a mirror and a muse. You know, we can expand on that too. What is nature to us? It's all of these things. And we're coming from the last revolution has been one of industrialization and rape, pillage, and plunder our planet in order to gain more capital. And from a mentality of what can we extract from our planet? And we know now that has brought a state of destruction of our own habitat. So it's no longer possible. So we're turning that into what can we learn, not just from our own mistakes, but from nature itself as a teacher. So the ethos for biomimicry is that we're creating conditions sustainable for life. So whether it's in our personal life, our family life, or our business, is the way we're walking in the world sustainable for life on all levels and dimensions, not just in one aspect. And an example that was presented for this, which was really appropriate, is we all know of the great big redwoods in California. Often they will grow for 200 years into these enormous, majestic beings. But when they come down, they carry on giving to nature for the next 1,000 years as they decompose, as they are deconstructed. So when we step out of the me story into the we story, it's not just for me here and now, it's for the next 7 generations, not just as a concept, but as an application. It's how do we build foundations so strong that what we build is not only in right relationship with nature, it's no longer just sustainable, it's actually regenerative for the next 7 generations and beyond. Maybe just pause there and feel into that for a moment. And another way to digest this is nature only takes what it needs. And in nature, when there is abundance, it's shared expansively. An individual tree doesn't hold all its nutrients only for itself or for 10 years' time, because for that tree to thrive in a regenerative way, it needs its whole community. It needs that divergence of community to actually thrive. So in times of abundance, nature shares very expansively. And at times when there's not so much abundance, like in times of drought, the nature will still share locally. And this feels like something very important that we've forgotten in our culture. I remember it very present in my childhood because everybody had backyards and gardens and fruit trees. So at times of abundance, that abundance was just given away to anybody who wanted it. And beautiful thing, that still happens here in New Zealand in some places. But rather than produce rotting in the gardens or on the ground, how do we actually share that abundance? And to understand the cultures that we come from are very diverse. And that is often the filters through which we engage in reality and through which we engage in nature. So one of, I think, my biggest challenges in the environment I took myself into for this learning was actually finding a language in which to communicate my offerings and gifts into the field that could be understood. And this is a really simple concept when we look at it in relation to nature, you know? Antenna, signal and response. What signal am I sending out? Is that signal receptive to the antenna it is desired to meet? And what response is coming off that antenna? What feedback I'm getting? And the feedback I got is something that I've had before, but I don't think I'd really digest it in a way in which to change on a greater scale into I'm being introduced to a new community that would greatly benefit from my gifts, from our gifts. And how do I communicate that their antenna would be able to receive an understanding of my offering? And what is the feedback I'm getting? And I think feel through my entire earth walk, and many of you may feel this also, that when we're talking about the work that we're offering, because we're working in the mythic, because we're working in the unseen realms, how do we communicate our work in a physical, audible language? And my excuse is like, I'm speaking to somebody's soul, and if their soul can hear me, I know it, because they'll often say, I'm not sure what you're saying. However, there's something in it that's really important to me. And I feel like I need to journey with you to discover more of that. And that's been my feedback loop. Nature has feedback loops. So taking a pause to really consider, what message are you sending out to your audience? Is their antenna receiving it? And how do you know by the response, the feedback that you're getting from your community? Are you achieving your desired outcome? Are you achieving your desired income? And are you offering at your full potential of availability in the process? Or are you in a situation where you're afraid to communicate your full potential because it may not be received by the current audience? And then in that case, how do I send my signal out to the antenna for those that actually need this service now in order to expand their service to the greater field? So maybe let's just pause there and see it feel. And is there any other questions or contributions to the field?
Leanne, when you're speaking, what's coming forward is that in order for us to mimic what nature does and be restorative and regeneration, to have that as our goal, like we have to adopt a new operating system, one that's different than our default. But there has to be a desire there to do that. And then there's a shift that happens in the consciousness field. And then also when you're speaking about sending out your antenna, you have to switch. They're showing me you have to switch the energy. The energy stream has to be different from before. When you were calling out to those who could hear you, it's like you were calling in the soul family, right? Those who already speak the same language. But now you're being asked to send it out to those who may have different languaging. And so you're needing to have energy behind what you're saying. And the energy codes are what makes the connection for people, regardless of the language.
It is, and that's, yeah, that's exactly what it is. So how do I still communicate with transmission so that I'm speaking to the greater connection of the individual, and also in the language of which their conscious mind can hear and understand? It's really very important, because I met some brilliant individuals on this 1-week journey, absolutely brilliant, that are truly 100% dedicated to restoring relationship with our planet and tapping into the wisdom of nature. And I could see how our services can support them and individuals by strengthening their own pillar, them as team leaders, as leaders of our new earth, and strengthening their teams, bringing their teams into coherent fields so that they can even strengthen their greater diversity, the unity through their own diversity of diverse teams. And also how much time and energy, and therefore money and investment, it will save these individuals and their teams in landing their projects when they have our support to be able to see with them what that project is that wishes to land and where it wishes to land, how it wishes to be named in order to be at the right frequency in order to attract their community and clientele into the field. So there's an extraordinary potential here, a niche in the greater ecosystem where our gifts and services can be very highly valued and are really required for the holistic picture and to tap into the resources that are not yet available to those who haven't established their own connection dimensionally yet. And now I'm getting to understand why we had to have this conversation today, because with all of you, we can unpack it in greater expanse, the little key pieces of the learning.
Yeah, we step in as bridges to the energetic realm, right? And help anchor it all in energetics first.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the beginning of our journey. Foundation was in relation. You know, we have Earthwalk Global and Be Light Global and Guardians of Gaia, all restoring relationship between humanity and our planet. And as we landed in from different points on the planet, one of the first things we had to do was create relationship. So how do we create relationship before the tasks begin? And we did that through physical embodied exercises of practices and plays, of practices through play that created that relationship. And it was a really beautiful way of doing it. So when we've been programmed, you have to do all the work before we can play. What happens if we reverse that and say, let's go and play together to create the relationship that allows work to flow more freely? So that's a lovely pole shift in our programming that requires to take place. So that literally our work does become play. And very much focusing on mutually beneficial relationships, that there is net benefit to both parties or all parties, and that the diverse gifts everyone brings to the circle benefit the relationship. You know, we're unique just like everyone else, and we all have our unique gifts. And it's really important that we don't try and fit in to everyone with everyone else in the sense as and clone ourselves like them. But what does it mean to be our own unique key species, our own unique tree in the diversity of the ecosystem? And be okay with that. Especially if there's not so many trees like us in our neighborhood. The beauty of being a keystone species, of being the kauri in the Ngāhere, in the forest, is that we provide the shelter, we provide the right environment in which to grow the other saplings. And we don't do that when we're trying to fit in and be like everyone else. We do that when we really claim our own uniqueness and our own unique gifts. And I feel the kauri very present right now. a species of hardwood in this land that was raped, pillaged, and plundered. And there was very few outcrops of kauri left after that plundering. And even now, as they slowly regenerate, there's something called kauri dieback that came in. And there was a beautiful story that Jade shared, a young Maori naturist that was on our journey, sharing our journey, and a big contributor to our journey with us, that they'd tried so many things to address kauri dieback. And the one thing that worked is when a whale got stranded and was honored in the traditional way, that all aspects of that whale were honored, a part of it was taken back to one of the kauri trees that had the dieback, and that kauri tree recovered. So there is so much that we can still learn from nature as we restore reciprocity, as we restore relationship. And another beautiful piece that emerged out of the journey is that every species is unique, but there's often two quite distinctly different reproductive systems. One is called an R strategy, and we could be talking about anything from a pine tree to a dandelion, one that produces many seeds that get dispersed out into the environment. Some die, some grow, some kind of incubate and may emerge later. And there's the K strategy, and they're the species that may only have one or two offspring, like our kiwi bird has one egg. Most humans have one or two offspring. So it was interesting when looking at this as applied through business, because the guidance was that you may wish to focus on one or the other. And I realized how these projects that have been emerging really organically, both Earthwalk Global, Be Life Global, and Guardians of Gaia, are employing both strategies. The way Earthwalk Global employs that strategy is there's a foundation of embodiment that's suitable for everyone. That's the absolute foundation of an individual's embodiment, no matter what country, culture, socioeconomic group background. And it's available to all to create the foundation. And some may only need that foundation and then go off and do something else. And others may be there to grow into their own kauri tree, into their own redwood. And then there's other offerings that do that through foundation and recalibration, embodiment of soul, and mastery of multidimensionality, in order to become the kauri tree themselves and share their gifts with their community. And that entity, Earthwalk Global, which isn't me, it's its own unique entity, now has a chapter for our practitioners, where those that have been through the process are beginning to, in the library there, for people to be able to access as practitioners that have become the tree and have their own unique gifts through their capacity to operate multidimensionally. So that's engaging both R and K as an organism that is definitely serving the greater, the we. Guardians of Gaia is also similar. It's its own unique entity that we are currently facilitating. We hope more facilitators will step forward, and we have guests on with different gifts. And eventually, Guardians of Gaia wishes to become its own unique entity, registered as the charity, and where those that have, particularly those that have been walking the earth for a long time, who may not have gone through the Earth Walk Global process, yet have great gifts to learn, then there's another, our practitioners, Guardians of Gaia have their own practitioners who are accessible and available as communities expand around the planet. And the way the bees have shown us they want to do it is their investment, guided by the wisdom of the consciousness of the bees, as they expressed to us they wanted to work with 3 international schools in Bali. And at first I was like, why? Most people think conservation work, charity work, we should be working with the impoverished communities. So when I asked the bees why, they said, we wish to work with the environmentalists of our future, and they're in the international schools. We want to work with them because we know they're going out around the planet, and we need to work with them directly. So Bee Life Global is supporting education projects in the major international schools in Indonesia, as well as projects that are within the local communities, with living with bees, no matter where you are, and projects that are now working with businesses to bring bees into their communities to offer experiences of the meditation domes that the bees have to offer and can work with people. So where in the individual offering to the world, we may wish to focus on a R strategy or a K strategy. When we come together, we can actually offer the whole ecosystem, the whole evolutionary journey for humanity. So there's an extraordinary potential in that. So we have to, how do we do that in order that there is reciprocity, that it is regenerative for everyone? And that's where we're coming to with Guardians of Gaia. Now, Guardians of Gaia has been meeting new moons and full moons for a year now almost. And I'm feeling Guardians of Gaia wants to expand. Well, how does Guardians of Gaia do that? So we're going to invite people to make donations in order to register Guardians of Gaia, for Guardians of Gaia to become a registered charity, in order for it to continue to evolve to support more people, to have a greater outreach. So that's a lot of information. Is there any questions or contributions to the field that anyone may have? As that's just been almost like a taster plate, a sample of the potential of which I've been exposed to over the last week, of which I'm still digesting. And an experience that felt really vital and important to share with you all, to plant seeds at the next wave of the Mayan calendar, so that we have a full, it's almost like it feels like it's going to take the 18 days and 18 nights to fully digest and integrate this. And after another 36-day cycle, that's going to take us almost to the end of December, where we may be able to birth something new in which where Guardians of Gaia wishes to evolve for 2025, while our planetary faces more chaos and crises. Mm. It feels we need to close our journey with a journey. I'm wondering what that is.
I'm still playing in the codes that you shared of the twin species of the whales giving their mana to the trees, the Kiora trees.
The
And the
kauri.
guides keep Kauri trees, excuse me. And the guides keep saying that there are twin species for all species. There are matching energetics among the species.
As you say that, what comes to mind is when we're talking about matching energetics between species, I'm being shown a clearing we did out there. We were actually staying at Great Barrier Lodge, which was right opposite the old whaling station. And there was still imprints in the blueprint of creation of the trauma that was experienced by the whales that were butchered there. And because it was still stuck in the field, the whales had not yet returned to Aotea. So whilst we were there, that the trauma that remained in the blueprint required resolution. And once it was resolved, we were given the understanding that the whales are likely to return in about 6 months' time to this area, which felt very, very important, and restoring twin species. And when we're talking about restoring the twin species, I'm also looking at the integration of the extraterrestrial nature of our soul with this planetary physical human body. How do we really land our soul, our extraterrestrial connection into these animal bodies for optimal creation potential? And I have a feeling that's the journey that's being asked of today. Anything else coming up before we go on that little journey? This journey came to me quite organically when I was working in the Neo-Tantra field of sacred sexuality and shamanism. And we would give an opportunity for everyone to do a 3-minute skit of their integration of their masculine and feminine, knowing that the inner union is very important for us to land our greater selves into these animal bodies. And my masculine and feminine were pretty good mates by then. They were very good friends and in union. And I'd done it so many times. For some reason, I'm like, okay, I'm going to explore what it is to actually integrate the extraterrestrial nature into my animal body, because that's what I was struggling with so much. And this is what many healers and therapists often struggle with. They can see, but are having trouble to manifest because they can't really land themselves fully. And again, that's why Foundation of Embodiment was created, because it brings those pieces of the puzzle together to land. And one of the pieces is this. One of the later pieces is bringing our extraterrestrial self into the body. So I started this process by standing up on a chair, dressed in a robe I'd picked up from Egypt in white and gold, as my extraterrestrial self, looking down on humanity, I must say, but feeling okay about it all. And but that was only my extraterrestrial nature that was pretty okay. So what happened when I took my robe off and crawled across the floor naked? I felt extremely vulnerable, unprotected, on alert, and watching constantly for dangers, very much in survival mode. And the contrast was so extreme. So I'm like, well, there must be more to this. What is the integration of the two? So I actually crawled back, backed up, keeping my forward facing to my audience and possible threat, and grabbed my robe and put it across my body. And that is when I gained strength. That's when I gained courage. That's when I was no longer afraid. And I actually began to have some fun. So why don't we explore that little journey today as we close our journey? And you may wish to do this actively in your physical bodies, as I did, to support the speed in which it integrates. Or you may wish to do it as consciousness. And because of the nature of our reality, and that many of us are more connected to our soul and extraterrestrial nature than our integrated physicality, let us first connect with that part of ourselves that resides outside of time, the all-seeing, the all-knowing, the one that can communicate between dimensions and between species, the one whose senses are wide awake, alert, online, in an integrated and relaxed way, knowing that we are nature. And as we would integrate our mental body into our physicality, invite our soul self, our higher self, our oversoul down. And you may need to sound, breathe, move if your soul self gets stuck in any place in your physical body where you have not yet made space for it to land, where trauma may still be lingering and preventing your arrival into your place of belonging. Remembering the Eastern traditions are very focused on pure heart and enlightened mind. However, we need to fully inhabit these bodies, so bring it all the way down through the heart, down through the solar plexus, into the belly and into the root, base, and womb space. In order for us to arrive, full resolution is required from any shame, fear, guilt, or trauma we have within our sexuality and our center of creation. You may wish to inhale, exhale with sound, and take it down. All the way down into the root, the base, the womb space. Down through the pelvic bowl, the hips, the thighs, the knees, the legs, and the feet. Giving our soul or higher self, our oversoul, an opportunity to course correct our earth walk. To bring life online so that we may dance our destiny timeline. In harmony, in right relationship with ourselves, with each other, and with our planet. As we invite our ancient future selves into this now moment, into this now time. So that this next revolution may be one of rapid evolution. At the pace of grace and the speed of love. Remembering that as shaman, we are not here to fight the river where it meets the ocean. We are here to dip our finger in this spring and change the course of the entire river. And as we arrive fully into this present moment, taking check of anything that still requires resolution in our past, in our conscious or unconscious, in order for us to show up here and now within the unified field of love. Taking responsibility for what we create in all aspects of life. Thank you for being here today, for all that you do and all that you are. As I hand you over to Casey for our closing.
Giving gratitude for our journey today. All of those higher aspects that we're able to land and anchor in. Bringing the information that it is important to remember that we are making new relationships with our reality. That is through play, through joy, through creation. That these are the foundation building blocks for the reality that we wish to see. That we must be anchored in fully in our animal bodies and in the celestial realm, merging the two as bridgers of the new. Understanding that it will take some integration time to receive the codes fully that have dropped in, that have landed in the circle today. Honoring our physical bodies and whatever they require for that integration phase. Letting them direct and lead. That the codes may land fully, both in our physical selves and on the earth plane, for others to retrieve at a future date. And when we are ready, we will anchor in our individual pillars a little bit more, that we may walk fully on this earth plane in a grounded state, in a present state. When you are ready, add a little gentle movement to your bodies, breathing deeper into yourselves, feeling the floor beneath you and your chair beneath you. And when you're ready, choosing to come all the way back in.
Thank you, Casey. And thank you to our whale and our kauri for joining us on the journey today, for they are both ancient wisdom keepers, record keepers. As are we. The information they have lies deep within our bones as the stones and record keepers of our earth. And it's their time for revival. So thank you all for sharing this journey today, and for those of us who have yet to join us. Much love and gratitude, everyone. And may the infinite potential of the seeds that have been planted bear fruit for a long time to come. Aho mitaku yasin and kia ora.